everyone, and welcome back. This weekend we have a big task at hand, and that is getting all of my cool, hardy annuals started either this weekend and also next weekend, so I can plant them out before my first frost date so I can get a great harvest come this spring. And hi, if you're new here, my name is Christy. I'm located in Massachusetts Zone 6A, and my average first frost date is October 3rd. Now, while that might seem super far away, it is very closely approaching so I can get my cool, hardy annuals out. This will be my first time trying out the cool weather techniques. I have purchased the Cool Flowers book by Lisa Mason Ziegler. I have been trying to get as many notes and listen to her podcast as much as I can because I really want to make the most of my spring 2026 harvest. Now, I am going to be opening, hopefully soon, my first roadside flower stand. However, I did not anticipate my dahlias and zinnias blooming a little bit later. We had a very cold spring. I was still wearing a winter coat early June when I was coming outside to get some of my planting done on the first weekend, I remember, and I was like, what is going on? So we are kind of pushed back a little. I have not been able to open up my flower stand yet, so I have been trying to do as much research as I could so I can get a great, very early spring harvest. Also, because I do plant a lot of vegetables, as you can see behind me, I was also growing a lot of perennials this year. I also don't have the space for the early spring flowers, so I really want this method to go well for me so that way I'm not taking away from my vegetable starts or some more perennials that I want to get going, especially my zinnias and sunflowers. I'm going to try and start those a little bit earlier, and I'm just limited. I do have 2 really good sized racks with lights and then a smaller one, but I just don't want to at this time invest any more money in a indoor grow light system. I feel like the ones that I have is just plenty enough. So the first thing that you need to know before you get started is what your average first frost date is. So for me, I just went to the Farmer's Almanac website. I just Googled average first frost date with my zip code. It brought me to their website. I typed my zip code in and it tells me my average first frost date. And that is super important because you want to get your starts either transplanted 6 to 8 weeks before that first frost date or direct sown before that first frost date. So for me, I am going to be doing basically everything indoor seed starting, except I do have some seeds I'm waiting on. They should be coming in this week, so I will start them next week. I have read that blue plurum does not like to be transplanted, so I will be direct sowing that. Bachelor buttons, I believe you can also go ahead and direct sow. So what's great about this book, if you go to the back, it will tell you if it should be sown indoors or outdoors. So for instance, if I go ahead to dianthus, it'll tell me that I should do it indoors, but if you want to do foxglove, you can do it indoors or outdoors. So this is a really great tool to have. So I've been taking lots of notes so I know what to do. But again, we're going to be doing a lot. This will be my second round getting some cool hardy annuals going. I did start some snapdragons and some Rudbeckia already. I did some snapdragons actually a few weeks prior, hoping I could get a fall harvest with some stock. But if not, I'm hoping they will just overwinter and I can get some blooms come early spring. Once you know your average first frost date, again, you're going to get a calendar and you're going to count back 6 to 8 weeks. That is when you're aiming to transplant or direct sow these flowers. Now, if you're wondering what cool hardy annuals are, it is going to be some annuals that benefit from having that extra time to develop the root system in order to have big, bountiful blooms come the spring. These annuals will survive the winter, so it's also important to know what zone you are in. The benefit to doing this is that your plants will have a stronger root development. So I counted back 6 to 8 weeks, and I'm just aiming for 8 weeks in case if I'm running behind. But anytime between August 8th and August 22nd is my window for transplanting all of these starts outdoors. So once I have that date, now you're going to count back even more. You are going to count back another 4 to 6 weeks, and that is when you will be seed starting your flowers indoors. For me, I need to start anything between July 7th and August 10th. So I am really pushing it. I'm in the middle of July right now, so I need to get as much seed starting as possible. So this is Saturday. I'm going to try and get as much seed starting done as I can so I can free up my heat mats and get everything off of them so I can do another round next weekend when I have some more of my cool hardy annuals being delivered. My plant time might vary from yours, so again, it is definitely important for you to see when your average first frost date is. You're going to count back the 6 to 8 weeks. It might give you something a little bit different, especially if you are in a warmer zone than mine. Then you still have lots of time to figure out what seeds that you plan on planting. It gave a nice little list inside this book about what I should start indoors and outdoors. So I have everything written down so I can read it and I won't forget anything. So for indoors, I'm going to be seed starting Ammi, Bachelor's Buttons, Black-Eyed Susan, Snapdragons, Feverfew, Sweet Williams, which is definitely something that I will be starting next weekend when my seeds come in, Yarrow, which we already did last weekend, and Canterbury Bells. So I do have some of these seeds on hand, and then once the other ones come, I will do those next weekend. Now for direct sowing, I am going to do Blue Purim, which again does not like to be transplanted, Queen Anne's Lace. You can also do Bachelor's Buttons and Ammi as well. So I am just going to seed start everything indoors. I don't want to risk, we've been getting a lot of crazy downpours and I don't want anything to get washed away. So I will be doing a lot of my seed starting inside. Once your 6 to 8 week window opens up for you to transplant outside, do not forget you still need to harden them off. Now that is going to put me in August, which is going to still be super warm. So I'm going to do this over a 7, maybe 10-day period with just moving them out either in the morning or at night when the temperatures are a little bit cooler. And if they do have to harden off in that direct sunlight towards the end, I'm also going to make sure that they do get some afternoon shade. The row that I'm going to be saving for these winter hardy annuals, they do get morning shade, and then they will get some afternoon sun or midday sun to late afternoon sun. So they will get a break from the sun in the morning when it's very warm here and can get humid. We've been having a lot of rain overnight. So again, this is why I'm going to be starting a lot of it indoors. Once you do go ahead and transplant them out, you want to make sure that you do take care of them. I will not be using any type of hoops or cloth overhead. I'm just going to have everything out in the elements. That is because when it comes fall, we could be getting some sleet. I don't want to have to worry about anything icing over. We do get a lot of snow. So I'm just going to let everything be exposed to the elements early on. But you do want to make sure that there's no dry spells. So just make sure, I usually like to water either in the morning or late at night. I will do it right before my kids go to bed or after they go to bed when the sun is just not beating on them, just to prevent that sun scorch. During the winter, some of your plants will stay green, especially if you don't get as much snow as we do. We get 2 to 3 plus feet of snow here depending on the weather. I remember we have not had any white Christmases lately, but then come January and February, we would get dumped on with snow. We've even had snowstorms in March. So it might stay green for the earlier of the winter months, but then they might die back. Do not pull them out, just leave them. And then once things start to warm up, you'll start to see them green again. By doing this, what you can expect in the spring is earlier blooms, and that is what I am trying to get. I am just kicking myself in the butt right now that my stand's not open. I thought I would have it by June because I did seed start a lot. I could do some perennial bouquets. I have so much echinacea blooming right now. It is just gorgeous. I'm actually going to be starting some today too for my coworker who just bought a new condo. So we are going to brighten up her yard. So we will be starting some echinacea today so that way she can enjoy some blooms next year. Luckily, these are seeds that I've harvested myself from my own garden, and they do produce blooms the first year, which is awesome. So I don't have to worry about cold stratification or anything with them. So that is something that I'm super excited to get going. Because it will be getting earlier blooms, that is going to be great for cut flowers, especially like snapdragons. I cannot wait to have earlier on. I did actually just buy 40 Lysianthus starts. They were only $1. They were on sale at my local nursery. So I went and bought a bunch of those. So I really hope that I can save those, even though that is not part of what I want to do today. I've been busy this morning doing that as well. That's enough talking. We are going to talk about what I'm going to seed start today. And then I have right now with me, I have 4 of these left. So I probably will do a straw flower, a feverfew, and then I do also have my 6L, so I'll probably do my echinacea in here because I do have a lot of extra bottom trays and my humidity domes. I'm limited to starting 7 trays until the heat mat is not as full. I just pulled off, I tried saving my sunflowers. We did those last weekend, and unfortunately it downpoured one night and I wasn't aware. I didn't check the weather and the water was so waterlogged. I brought them inside, so I'm not sure how they will do, but we definitely will get a fall harvest at some point from the sunflowers. So we'll do some 6L packs. I'm still kind of tampering what I'm going to be doing, but my straw flower and my feverfew and my Canterbury Bells are very top on the list. And I still, even though I will be starting these indoors now and transplanting out in the fall, I probably will still start some in the winter too, just as backups. I will not need to start 100 tomato plants, even though they are thriving from me starting them so darn early. But that is a totally another topic. So let's talk about what I'm starting today. Now, I also have some feverfew. I have one from Swallowtail, so it just says organic feverfew, and then I have another one from Johnny Seeds. So I'm going to split these up and do 1 tray of feverfew. I have all of my coneflowers that I saved from my own garden. I'm going to do a whole entire tray of this. I have these Canterbury Bells that I bought for winter sowing. I did start some indoors, and this is before I realized they needed to be planted out in the fall. I have not had any blooms. It is a biannual or a tender perennial, so I'm hoping that maybe next year they'll put on blooms. I honestly don't even know where I put them in my perennial garden to see how they are doing. But I think I planted some at work and I haven't seen any blooms there either. And then I do have a ton of Indian, I believe it's Indian blanket flower. It's from my farm share. It is a black-eyed Susan. Now, I didn't know that you could do this, so fingers crossed it works, because this is like one of my favorite flowers that I was harvesting when I was a part of that farm share to put into bouquets. They are just these big, beautiful yellow flowers. I do have finally one poking out right now over up front where I was doing my sea of yellow. They are finally starting to bloom slowly. I do have to deadhead them to encourage more bloom, so that's what we're going to be doing. We'll be doing 1 feverfew, 1 Canterbury Bells, and I believe I do have some more of those possibly coming in. 1 coneflower, a Rudbeckia, and then some Ammi, and that should be everything. And then next week I do have Blue Plurum coming in, a lot of Sweet Williams, which I want to get in. I started those winter sowing. They look beautiful, but there's just no blooms until next year, so I want to get ahead of the curve with that. And I'm not quite sure what else I have in, but I do have a whole box coming in from an Etsy seller. I can't remember who I purchased them from, but I can put that down below. But they were having a sale. I figured, why not? So let's get started. I already made my seed starting mix. It is pre-moistened. Again, I used some peat moss. It's like a finer coarse that I used for my other seed starting. It's okay. I haven't really come to love it compared to the Espoma seed starting mix. I still am putting that as number 1 right now, but I might be buying the bigger bales of Pro Mix for next year because I heard that's also really good for seed starting. So I have the peat moss, and then I also added perlite and vermiculite. It's a little bit waterlogged. It'd probably be really good right now for soil blocking. I kind of forgot that I had the hose in there, so I had to actually make probably more mix than I really need right now. So I'm going to fill these containers. We'll just speed round through that, and then we'll talk about putting them in. I'm going to do a lot of speed video. I feel like you guys kind of get the gist of seed starting, but I just wanted to take you along for the ride, so let's go. All right, and if you are new to seed starting, I do like to use these 40 cell trays. I get them off of Amazon. You can even do soil blocking. I have not attempted to do that yet, but these just work just perfectly for me. And then I also have some extra trays, like I said, for some 6L packs that I can use for, say, like the black-eyed Susan and more of my perennials, like the coneflower, so I can see the root development. I really do like the clear ones, so I know if they're starting to get root bound and I need to go and transplant them up, which I like to do with the coneflower. I feel like they really take off once you transplant them up. So what I like to do is everything is pre-moistened right here. I just sprinkle it in. Some people like to do it dry. I like to do it pre-moistened. I will go ahead and push everything down. Most of these, I believe, especially the straw flower and the feverfew, they are super small. So you will have to just surface sow them, and then I'll cover them with a light layer of vermiculite afterwards. Then I will just take my spray bottle and give them a good soaking. I do a nice little tamper down the first time I fill these up just to get the air pockets out. I still will find that I just don't push it down enough and there's air pockets, and you'll always find a cellar too that just won't fill up with water, and you just have to baby it until you transplant it out. So I really suggest giving it a nice press, and then my second layer that I put in, I don't go as firm, especially if I need to still bury the seed. So let's see here. But it's also, I do like to give it a nice press, because if it is something that needs to just sit right on top, you don't want it falling in between any cracks just because you didn't push it down enough. So it's like a fine tune. You don't want to do it too much, but you also, like, I still have a lot of more room. We're competing with planes and central air and a baby monitor, but I have my Coneflower and Indian summer done. I do have my Canterbury Bells over here in Feverfew there, so I'm gonna get these under the lights right now. My little one's starting to move. All right, and now everything is planted, so I will take you along with me. We'll just do some seed starting updates over the next few weeks, go over germination, show you what my racks look like. They are just filled with snapdragons right now, stalk. I also have my yarrow that's going. My snapdragons from Johnny's, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's the seed starting mix that I'm just not used to making my own right now. I didn't have the best germination rate, but I'm gonna just save the extra seeds and do that early spring. But I just wanted to do a recap of everything before hopping off. So again, for me, being in zone 6A with my average first frost date of October 3rd, July 7th to August 10th is when I'm going to be seed starting everything indoors. So I still have a few weeks for that. And then from August 8th to August 22nd is when I am going to transplant everything out, which to me just seems crazy because it's still in the dead of summer. Or you can direct sow. So I will definitely be direct sowing some of my things. I might even do a test run of bachelor buttons direct sown, depending on how much space that I have left. And then in the fall, you're gonna wanna make sure that you water, and you can even mulch lightly as well. I'll probably will mulch over the fall with all of the leaves that fall down. I will just rake them up. We don't fertilize anything in the backyard because we don't really have grass back here. So I will be taking all of the leaves that have fallen, and I usually do it and put it inside my planters to help everything. And it also gives like that nutrients for everything to break down over in the spring, but I will definitely mulch that bed as well. And then in the winter, you're gonna let nature just do its thing. Again, I'm not doing any type of row covers. I am just going to leave everything bare. It's just one more thing to fuss over if I don't have any success, even though I am kind of still following everything to a T as much as I can. Maybe I'll think about that next year, but for now we're not going to be doing any row covers. And then in the spring, you're going to be able to enjoy blooms 4 to 6 weeks earlier. And you also won't be fighting for that space of having everything on your seed starting racks, especially if you're like me and you go really big into your vegetable garden. I had tomatoes and peppers, dahlias. I'm hoping I can also fine tune my greenhouse. I'm going to get the exhaust fan put in at some point in the fall so I can use that again in the dead of summer. Oh my gosh, the hummingbird's back. It's so darn cute, but loves the bee balm. And then I also want to look into having a heater in there as well. I really want to try saving some of my Lysiantha seeds and getting those going. If you are also doing the same exact process right now, please let me know in the comments below. If I forgot anything or if you have any major tips, please also let me know. Go ahead to also make sure you click like and subscribe and hit that bell button, and I'll see you all next time. Happy gardening. Bye.